Welcome to Clause 8. You're watching a short clip from one of our full episodes, featuring real conversations with the leaders shaping IP.
Yeah, so initially I was always focusing on like what the law was, what the law said, all these case decisions that came down. And there was one in particular, it was called, it was called Core Wireless. And I think the turning point for me was when I attended this oral hearing and I argued in front of these judges about why our case was similar to Core Wireless. And their response was that Core Wireless was about, an improvement for small displays. Even though the claims said nothing about small displays, and the court decision itself, was based on, other aspects, I realized that like it's really important to have story integrated into our applications, right? Story about the technical improvement, why it provides that benefit, and that's how I came up with our approach that I like to call like an impression approach.
And it's interesting you say that. Obviously, there were a lot of court decisions, and the problem with the court decisions is that they came out both ways. But there were nuggets in them about like what could actually survive in this new world, and some of those nuggets had to do with technical improvements. And then people would just write a patent application, and then they would stick at the end of
Right.
their application
Right.
technical improvement,
Right.
and then they met the realities of what happened at. So you draft obviously an application that you want to withstand if it ever gets challenged as a patent, but also you're trying to get a patent office. But even at the patent office, examiners are like, "Come on, you just you have a whole application about what this is really about, and then you put some improvement that's completely unrelated to it at the end, and they're like, we're not gonna grant grant you're not gonna overcome Section 101 rejection based on that. It's not gonna be patent eligible." And I think you kind of you formulated I think you have a you formulated kind of the kind of things that you were both talking about. It's really about telling a compelling technical story, not just in one little end of the paragraph, but throughout the application as you lay out.
Right.
So before you start drafting that application, you have to take a step back and saying, all right, this is the invention, but what is really the technical improvement? And you might need to get that from inventors, and you might need to figure that out. That is a challenge now that I think about it. Like you have inventors, obviously, who are day to day. Their task might be to improve things from a business perspective, not to improve technology. But then you need to find out like what is the technical improvement. How do you do it, or how do you kind of think about figuring that out as you're talking to the inventors? Or
I think what we typically do is we just kind of take this step back. We understand that the inventors are focused on their specific use case. So if it's, if they're with a financial or fintech company, they're always talking about money, credits, debits, transactions, and not really focusing on, what's the underlying technology that makes all these things possible, right? And so what we do is we take a step back, we focus on why their particular invention works the way that it does and what helps it work. And then formulating a strategy that focuses on the underlying technology and why it provides whatever the technical benefit is.
Obviously, a challenge with that is kind of setting the inventor's expectations, right? About it, trying to explain what we're doing with their invention. Any advice about that? About like communicating? How do you think about that? About communicating with the inventors?
I'm fairly straightforward with it. I let them know that if they present their financial use case first, that they're going to get rejected, because that's the first impression, right? If it deals with a financial use case, it's probably not patentable, and that's the impression that a lot of patent examiners have. And so the idea is that you present the technology first, and then you present the financial use case afterwards, right? And so that the first impression is already set, that it's about the technology.